Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Expert Corner. I am your host, Cameal Harris, change management consultant, European CRM adoption specialist, and author of the book, The Writer Mythology, the No BS Guide to Practical Step-by-Step Navigation of Organizational Change Management. In today's recording, we are going to have a discussion with Jeff Skipper. Now, Jeff is a 30-year OCM veteran and the author of Dancing with Disruption. I really enjoyed this conversation with Jeff, and it was so great to have this discussion. Our topic today was on the idea or speaking around, does change management matters? We spoke about OCM becoming a buzzword and how organizations are shying away or thinking that, okay, change management is another expense that we probably don't need to take on right now. So Jeff and I dive deeper into that and see how we can have that conversation with leaders to show them how change management does matter and how we can use OCM to increase or improve that bottom line. Enjoy, and thank you for watching. Hello, everyone. My name is Cameal, and I am doing a series with other change management consultants about some problem areas that we normally see comes up in our consulting field. And today I have with me Jeff Skipper. Jeff, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, for sure. Hello, everyone. Jeff Skipper. I'm out of Canada. I live in Calgary, Alberta. Proud author of this book you can see up here, Dancing with Disruption. I've been consulting in the area of leading change for 30 years. I'm really excited to share my experience with you, Cameal.
Thank you, Jeff. And I'm so happy to have you here with us today. Jeff, a lot of us have been hearing that change management is now becoming a buzzword, right? And leaders are starting to wonder, I've even spoken to people that are asking, what is change management? And leaders and stakeholders are starting to wonder, do we actually need change management? Is this something that we can, pull back on to save a few bucks? And, what is the value of this? So today we're going to talk and do a little bit of a deep dive on, does change management matters? And will it increase that bottom line? What are those KPIs that we are looking to get? So first, I want to ask you, tell me about a time where you might have run into that situation where leaders might not, or different, stakeholders or whoever might not think change management matters. How do you go about with that conversation to get buy-in?
Sure, and let's split that in two, because you're right. You do get folks that are skeptical around what that is. You remind me of the fact that if you were to ask my mother, what does your son do? She still can't explain what is this thing
Right.
called change management. So for a lot of folks, it is still new, even though the discipline has been around a long time. And because folks are unfamiliar, you're right. Some do react with, do I really need that? Especially if I'm running a project that has a big dollar amount attached to it. Bringing in a consultant is yet another expense. So is that really worth it? So I do spend time at the beginning talking to leaders around why this is important. And I always start with one simple exercise to do that. So I will ask them, on a scale of 0 to 100, how reliant would you say the success of this project is on people? And they'll think about that, and really it doesn't matter what the response is. There's always some amount, whether they say it's 10% or 90% or 100%. So I can easily build from that to say, so exactly, you're acknowledging that the success of this program is somewhat dependent on people. So if we don't spend our time focusing on how people come along and adapt and understand what you want them to do, there's risk in this for you. And that would be my number one point around this first element you've gotten at, is we have to be able to talk the language of risk. So leaders understand hey, if something doesn't work, if it breaks, that creates risk for the organization. If people don't follow a policy, it creates risk for the organization. So we have to connect what we do as change professionals to the reduction of risk for leaders. So to explain to them, listen, you're carrying a 10 million, $100 million budget on this program. If we don't have people step up and really adopt this change, you're not getting the returns that you expect. That's a risk to not only the project, but to you personally. And
Mm-hmm.
making that connection motivates them huge. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I often start when people are skeptical around, is this really important? They get right away that, yeah, I need people to do things a certain way or
Yes.
behave in a new way they haven't done before. And if I just leave them to their own devices, they might not do that. And that creates risk for my project.
Awesome. I like that. I really like how you kind of put that question to them to have them think about that bottom line and their KPI. For it within these conversations, is this before you get signed on to the project or is this after?
Yeah, great question. It's often before, but it also happens after. So even if you and I have a champion, so the client said, "Hey, we need you. Come on in." It doesn't mean that everyone on the program understands what you do and is bought in. So often you'll get that, yeah, yeah, whatever. You go do your thing and leave
Mhm.
me alone. But we need to work with all these people. So you have to get with them and then explain a little bit more around this is why I do what I do. I talk a bit about history. Here's what I've done on other programs and why it's made a difference. We talk about basic psychology of understanding, hey, if folks are
Mhm.
involved, are they more bought in? Yeah, yeah, they tend to be. Well, that's one of the things that we're going to leverage here. So yes, if I'm actively selling an engagement or someone's interviewing me, then I may at the beginning have to have this discussion around why the work we do is so important. But even once I'm on the inside and I'm starting to work with stakeholders, they often need a bit of education as well.
Yes, I really like that. I've seen in my own experience that it is really important to sell the value for change, even when you're on projects. Where I've seen a bit of pushback is at times it seems as a consultant, you're an outsider coming in, no one knows who you are.
Right.
And yes, the word sponsor go around a lot, but people are always saying, I have so much to do, I don't have time to meet with you. How
Mm.
do you navigate that? Like, how do you get them to really own in onto this and say, okay, this is important, I need your help, I need to know who I need to talk to in these organizations?
Yeah, it's again common problem, and it happens all the time. Even when they know you and respect what you're doing, often with major projects, folks are so intensely busy, it's difficult to get in front of them. Now we're coming at this again from the premise we began with of folks may not be really sure that you can offer them value. Um, I always advocate take whatever time you can get. So if
Mm,
someone's saying, yeah, I'm sorry, I got too many other things on my plate, say, well, I'm willing to take you for lunch. I'm willing to take you for a coffee.
mm,
If you'll give me 5 minutes, let me have a chat with you, and then you can decide whether it's worth more of your time. So again, that aspect of giving them control of, you know, I probably can't avoid Jeff forever. So I guess I can give him, 5 minutes or time for a coffee and then I can shut him down. Or if he
yes.
happens to convince me, then we'll go on. And I've never failed at that. If I can get in front of them for even a few minutes, that quickly I can make a connection. Building rapport is so important for the work that we do. And then from that connection, I can start building of how can I help you be successful? Now I'm operating in
Mm.
their best interest, and who doesn't want that?
Right. I really love how you put that operating in their best interests. I think it's so important for us as practitioners to really meet our clients where they are and show them that I am here to help you. I am on your side. So whatever it takes, to get it done. So I really, really like that. What happens though when you are in the project and you make these recommendations and the stakeholders or sponsors, whoever it might be, doesn't listen? Have you ever had an experience with that when they don't listen?
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, some of the instances like that are I have a reluctant sponsor. So yeah, they own the program, but they're not a big fan of getting in front of the group or talking to people. So during planning, I'll say, really need you to get your face in front of people and talk to them about why this is an important program for them personally. So you get some of that resistance. Um, Sometimes it's budget wise. So you propose doing a few things and they say, oh, we can't really afford to print up
Mm,
posters or reserve a special meeting place to do a launch. And you're arguing that, well, that would really make an impact on folks. I think it would help convince them. So these things do happen. And as you said, they're basically saying, yeah, we're not going to do what you want us to do. So my
right.
response is always the same, and that's to say, I want you to know that I will always continue to give you my best advice to ensure your success. If you
Mm,
choose not to take that, that's okay. That's your decision, and I will continue to do my best to make you a success. End of story.
awesome.
So the again, decision remains with them. You're not creating conflict, you're letting them own it. You will continue to raise risks as you go along and say,
Mm,
the reason why I proposed this particular intervention is because,
mm,
however, if we do proceed, I think this will be to your benefit, or if we decide not to, I'll do some other things to try and mitigate it. So I'm still always acting in their interest.
oh, awesome. So tell me a little bit about your book. Do you cover this when it comes
Absolutely.
to?
There's a full chapter on resistance itself, which comes from all different angles. But even that little exercise I gave you around, tell me a bit about, or tell me on a scale of 0 to 100, that's in there as well, just to try and help people understand why we need to focus on the human aspect of change.
Right. So would you agree that yes, resistance is natural. It's natural, right? So when we as change managers, we come and say, okay, we are here to mitigate that resistance. We are here to lessen that gap. How can we like use that case of, okay, when it comes to resistance and risk, this is what we're here to help with, to show them that there is another way that we can do this, there is another side to this, and really lead with that positivity. How would you suggest?
And so if they're looking for alternative in terms of how to approach it, well, I think as professionals, we owe it to our clients to always give options. So oftentimes, even after I'm proposing one way to do this, and I believe it's the best way, I've still got two or three others in my back pocket.
Like that.
So best case scenario, I get you as a leader up in front of people and talking to them. And if there's difficulty or there's refusal or they're really uncomfortable and they're afraid they're going to make mistakes, what are my backup plans? Say, you know what?
Yes.
Is there someone else in the organization that has really high credibility with the audience? Let's see if we can get them up
Mhm.
there and talk about it. Worst case scenario, it's not the worst, but if I can't get either of those, then I might get in front of the audience
Mm,
and say some of those things. But there's risk with that because if they
yeah,
start following Jeff, the sponsor, the leader loses some of their credibility with the audience. So again, that's something I would tell them about. Say, hey, we can do it this way. It creates some other risk over here, but we can surmount that. We can try and mitigate it in another manner. So yeah, you should always have options for the individual. There's always more than one way
that's
to try
true.
and get something done.
I was told once by a very wise man that every problem has at least three solutions. So I always try to
Absolutely.
have that a rule of thumb, that there always a solution. It's interesting that you said that, even if it comes to it, that you are willing to get up there in front of stakeholders and really have these conversations. One thing that I have seen that really have been effective in workshops is I realize that a lot of times people are uncomfortable speaking up in front of others. And I will schedule workshop in a way where there is breaks, but I'm working in those breaks. That is when I'm working the room. I'm having those one-on-one conversations. I'm asking them, how do you feel about this? And a lot of times some individuals are like, this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah.
even though newsletters have been
Yeah.
sent out and
That's
emails, you're
right.
like, I never knew this was going to happen. There was even an instant where, this was a manager, like for example, a customer service department, and her department was the highest impact, and she had no idea. So it really created a lot of frustration from business unit, like from people managers, when they feel as if they are not being brought into
Yeah.
the story of the change. So I think it is, like you said, when going back to what you said early on, is helping managers, like executive leaders, to understand that how much of this people are involved, and do your people actually know what is happening? Do they understand the what's in it for me, what is changing, and what is not even changing? I feel like it's important for us to communicate all of that. And not only communicate, we have to ensure, is my message being received, read, heard,
Yeah.
understood? So when it
Camille,
comes
I
to
want to
that.
comment on that because that's such an important point. I was talking to another change professional the other day, and she said she was having difficulty getting leaders to buy into the work that she does. So she, on her own, went out and talked to the stakeholders, just like you referenced. So, how do you know if people are really getting the message? And she came back with data, having talked to a number of people. But listen, 90% of the folks out there don't understand what they're supposed to do. Well, that was a big wake up call for leadership.
Mhm.
So I'm really glad you brought that up because it is so important to talk to your stakeholders and figure out, are they getting the message? Do they understand what to do? And are they willing to do what you're asking them to do? Because it's not a guarantee, even with the best things that you and I do for our
Yes.
clients, not a guarantee that everyone's on board. So we have to take the temperature and bring it back. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. Your insight is invaluable. And I do appreciate your time today. And I look forward to having more conversations with you.
Same. Wishing you all the best, Camille.
All right, thank you.